Let me start by making something very, very clear. This podcast is not an attack on American lobbyists who are just doing their job. It is not an attack on consultants who are just taking care of their families. This is an indictment of a failed Nigerian political strategy, of a failed Tinubu'S strategy. And yes, it is also an indictment of the talkative Senate president, God's will Obot Akpabio, who is implicated here. Because when a government spends $9 million to explain itself abroad, a poor African country, it has already admitted that it has failed at home. Failed woefully. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Fiona show on YouTube. Today, we separate facts from opinions, policy failure from public relation panic. This is a scandal. It is a terrible scandal that Tinubu is now begging with $9 million in Washington, D.C. Issue 1. Let's go with confirmed facts. Confirmed facts. Facts. According to a report by the Africa Report, Nigeria hired DCI Group for a $9 million lobbying contract. That is about $750,000 per month. $750,000 a month. In Naira, do you know how much it is? More than 1 billion every single month. Man. Now, wow. In a country with multidimensional poverty. The contract was signed via Aster Legal on behalf of Nigeria's National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. Ribadu again. The hypocritic Ribadu again. Fact. The stated purpose, is to convince Washington that Nigeria is serious about protecting Christians and countering terrorism. Fact. This is the largest known African lobbying contract in history, on record. These facts are not in dispute. They are not. Issue 2. Ribadu, hypocrisy and credibility. This is my opinion. This is the opinion of Ofion Okwa. Now, let me tell you clearly that, in my view, Ribadu is not being truthful with President Trump about the depth of Nigeria's religious violence crisis and the collapsing Nigerian state. As Nigerians will say, it a lie. It a lie. Many Nigerians, including respected voices, accuse Ribadu of being an enabler or at minimum a silent bystander for years in the face of Islamic extremism. Let me give one example that haunts Nigeria. I'm not aware, and I stand to be corrected. I stand to be corrected that Nuhu Ribadu said a single public word. When Deborah Samuel was brutally murdered by his classmates in Sokoto for saying in the class that she was a born-again Christian. She was murdered for that blasphemy. There was no national outrage from those greedy politicians in Nigeria. There was no moral clarity from Nuhu Ribadu. So when Washington is told that, Nigeria is protecting Christians, so my questions are simple. Protecting them when? When? In 2026? Protecting them where? And who is speaking for the dead here? Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a PR problem. This is a credibility problem. The Nigerian state is very weak and very hypocritic. That is the issue here. Issue 3. The lobbyists, I repeat, the lobbyists are not the problem at all. Let me be fair. The lobbyists are just innocent professionals doing their job. As a matter of fact, I know about some of them. Some of them are actually very good people. They are not criminals. They are not responsible for Nigeria's failures. So when Nuhu Ribadu take 9 million to go and beg them, that is Nuhu Ribadu's problem. As serious people, though, I would request from the lobbyists that they should do one thing first. They should listen to Christian victims in Benue. In Benue, in the Middle Belt. Listen to families in Plateau. Listen to survivors in Southern Kaduna. Listen to the 3 Catholic bishops that were murdered in cold blood by Islamic terrorists. No amount of talking points can erase lived trauma. This is not messaging. This is blood on the ground. Blood on the ground. Thousands, tens of thousands have died. Issue 4. I don't even think this will work, in my opinion. Now, this is my judgment, and I own it. This lobbying effort will not work. Why? I'll give you the reasons. Because Donald Trump has criticized Nigerian leadership before. Since his first term, he brought in Buhari to the White House, who looked like a dead man. Former President Muhammadu Buhari later recounted after that meeting that during his 2018 White House visit, Trump asked him directly, why are you killing Christians? This was asked to the Nigerian president. This is like Trump was in power in 2019 the first time. A claim Buhari himself made public in a 2020 interview that tells you everything. It looked like this magnificent act that is used to stop this greedy Nigerian perchance from getting visa is yielding fruit. It will sanction them. It will not allow them bring their children to come and study in the US. Big men now are sweating. They don't want consequences that follow them or their children. That's why they're taking $9 million of Nigerian money and coming to spend to beg in Washington, D.C. Issue 5, the street verdict. I talked to a lot of people. Let me read a quote, because Nigerians are very upset. Let me read a quote from a prominent Nigerian observer. Quote, this quote reflects public sentiment. Quote, they just chopped their money. $9 million. Over $100 million was wasted over the past 11 days in the US. It was a dollar fest, this lobbying. That lobbying firm would not do anything. The next strike at the terrorists is just around the corner. Unquote. That means Trump is coming again. This is not academic analysis. Sokoto is not the end. This is straight realism. I am quoting the streets. I'm not telling you. I'm quoting the streets. Issue 6. Godswill Akpabio and the scandal shadow. This guy has no credibility. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio, and credibility matters in today's world. Separate U.S. filings show lobbying linked to letters written on behalf of Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Letters. Akpabio is publicly tarred with scandal. The guy is a moving scandal. EFCC indictments that are still there. They are unresolved corruption allegations. A deeply contested political reputation. He has attacked from everybody, including his own. You cannot convince Washington you are serious about reform while your messengers symbolize impunity. All you have to do is to look at Godswill. Is that the person representing Nigeria? Look at his problem. Natasha, all this problem is all people are screaming at him. Issue 7, poverty versus priorities. Here is the moral obscenity. Nigeria is ranked among the world's worst countries for multi-dimensional poverty. Millions without food, health care, education, or security. Yet, this government found $9 million using Ribadu's company and his people, or whatever is used, not to protect Nigerians, but to explain failure to Washington. That is not leadership. That is elite self-preservation. The big men in Nigeria are now in a protective mode. They want to dodge Trump so that they can continue. This is my closing final judgment. Let me end very clearly. Fact. Nigeria hired U.S. lobbyists for $9 million. Fact. The goal is to reshape U.S. perception. To lie. In my opinion, no. To the U.S. opinion. This will not stop U.S. pressure. This will not erase failure, governance failure. This will not silence the dead. Because legitimacy is earned on the ground. You cannot purchase it on Care Street. Not on Care Street. This is the official question on YouTube. I am the voice of the voiceless. I am your independent voice documenting what power hopes will stay quiet. I am telling fearless truths. I am Offiong Akwa. Be good to yourselves.
News to the Biafran families. When I see the clip now, the government of America, they rejected Tinubu with his 9 million. But the money is not going back because it is our taxpayers' money. For the sake of Biafra, the $9 million that was paid to a lobby firm in US. Listen, some people don't understand what is happening. Let me just clear you well so that you will understand what the Nigerian government are trying to do. Nigerian government, if you go to Arise TV, as of Abati, you will hear what he said about the matter. You go to Channel TV, as of Sheung, look at the names I'm calling. You will hear what he said about the matter. Go to TVC. Go to that one they call Babajide Otitoju. These three guys I call, they are from where? From Yoruba side and from Baboons region. They said yes, what Tinubu did is right. Why must Biafrans have a lobbyist in US? Why Nigerian government cannot have? Biafrans have lobbyists. Lobby us, we want to leave. You have a lobbyist to stop Biafra to leave, but people change it and said they want to stop the narrative of Christian genocide. Now lie. When you hear the narrative of all these guys, you know exactly the agenda that the Biafrans have lobbyists, and they don't want Biafra to exist. To be in existence, so they create their own lobbyist. But appear with a fake headline. It is for the US not to strike them again. Now lie. They went there so that okay, Biafrans, the Biafran government are paying $66,000 monthly. That is the amount of money for the lobbyist. For you to know that freedom is not being given, it is taken. And you must pay yourself out. Freedom is not free of charge. So you that always say, hey, they want to siphon us. Have you bothered to ask, where is all this money coming from? Paying to the lobbyist. Starting from Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, he is paying $66,000, if not more than that. Simon Ekpa paid for it. Where is this money coming from? Did they have any did they have any government or country or any billionaire bankrolling them? It is through the hard labor of Biafrans they keep contributing. That was why you see a lot of them capitalize on this now. Hey, we are fighting for your freedom, to siphon your money. What the Nigerian government went to do in White House is just to stop the Biafran lobbyist not to be in existence. So 66,000 monthly, they have to jump into $750,000 monthly. We're not talking about naira here. We're not talking about safer. We're talking about the hard-earned money. Egwigwe, $750,000 for 1 month. It is not even up to 6 months. They have already paid for complete 1 year in advance. The contract of that lobby is 6 months, and it's a renewable contract. So instead of them to wait for the 6 months to expire, they have to pay outrightly 1 whole year, which amount to $9 million. Because to them, they have already seen that the push of Biafrans and their lobbyists is making a headway. In fact, it is bringing a kind of global insight into it. Wars have begun to talk. That's why the fact they know about the Biafra. Even countries who have during the time of Ojukwu, you understand me, who recognize Biafra, they never reject it, or they never said anything. Ivory Coast, like many other countries, they never said, oh, we are not going to recognize them again. They are still there. Ivory Coast, Haiti, most of the African countries, Gabon, if I'm not mistaken. But if I'm mistaken, please correct me in the comment section. But I know 4 or 5 countries recognize Biafra from 1967 to 1970. Until to date, they never say no to that. So they know that these current Biafrans now, the one that is championing the struggle, they are not going to give, they're not going to back down. Let me not say Ojukwu betrayed us. I don't know what agreement he had with Nigerian government that made him to create Apuga to run for election after fighting for Biafra. But that is story for another day. So let me not talk anything that I'm not aware of. I don't know the kind of agreement, whether the money they give him or what. I cannot say, but let me just put it at that. But their plans have failed. All their plans have failed. Because their money, Otilon, it don't go. For the lobby company to work, it is a lie. Because the lobby company itself, where Tinubu used his own gun to shoot his leg, is that the lobby company, 4 or 5 managers in that lobby company as campaign managers to Donald Trump. And you know what Donald Trump stands against. 2008, just like this, our brother said, this guy is a professor in US. 2018, when Buhari went to White House, Oval Office, to meet Trump, Trump asked him one-on-one, that was his first tenure, before he was ousted by Joe Biden's government. He asked this, or he told him one-on-one, why are you killing Christians? That question remained unanswered till date. He didn't answer the question. That was why Trump made that comment. Do you know the comment he made? That I am too big to deal with a dead president. But people don't understand what he said, what he meant that time. A dead president, because who he was talking to is an impostor. But he asked him a question that requires an answer. But he cannot give him abstract answer then, because people who send him not expect Trump to ask him such a question. People who pose him there as Buhari never expect that Trump will open mouth to ask him such a question. So he has no answer to it. So he have to return back to the people who sent him, who posed him there to represent as Buhari, for them to tell him what to answer to Donald Trump. But they failed then. That was when Trump knows that, my dear, there's no any life in any guy or any person that they presented to him as a president. Now, Tinubu has started his own now. Buhari died. Tinubu now is now trying to complete what Buhari did in his 8 years. Just like what Tinubu said earlier on when he was campaigning, that I'm going to continue from when Muhammadu Buhari stopped. So Muhammadu Buhari died. In fact, what Tinubu has died for under 3 years of his tenure, my brother, it's more than what Buhari killed in 8 years. And they are all Christians. 99% of them are all Christians. So glory be to God that the government will accept their money and eat it in good faith, and they will not do anything. Biafra, here we go. Good news is we are going home anytime soon. Expect Trump's second coming to give us Biafra. Anything that we hit in the north again, bam, the northerners will say we are going. Look at governor of Katsina said he released 72 convicted terrorists, bandits, Fulanese. He released them. After releasing them, you do know what he did? He had to go and meet their special advisor, which is Segume in Kaduna. He went there and met to him, and they tell him how to enlist them into the military. That is the advice he can do. The other advice he can give them. Protect them. So anything that is going to hit the north again, I swear to God, North will tell you that we don't want this union again. Because they are the one that put these guys inside the bush. Let's not forget. Adamu Garoba, that Mumu APC chieftain, he made statement very long time ago that nobody should be killing that the Fulani headers and the bandits and terrorists inside bush, that they are foot soldiers. Sheikh Ahmed Gumi also made that comment. Then what happened to the so-called criminal Sultan of Sokoto? He said that anybody is going to begin to kill the Fulani bandits and terrorists inside the bush, he tells his people not to vote for that person. Till tomorrow, they are still crying about the first hit. That was why they refused to release any pictures of casualties. The other day, Musa came out and began to tell you that the reason why they refused to, there's no remains of the people that are being struck by America's missile. You can imagine that, say there's no remain, all of them burned into ashes. Are you kidding me? They don't want to release it because they are still trying to cover it up to tell you that, Trump just wasted Tomahawk missile on not to just go to empty ground and blast it and begin to claim that they strike. They kill very good number of them. Any second strike again, I tell you the truth, my brother, any second strike again in that northern Nigeria, they will say no, they are not going. They are cleaning our population. They will go. And what is it? It is to the advantage of we Biafrans. So if you are not seeing anything negative about what this guy said or what is still happening now, then my brother, please, you need to go and look for an eyeglass so that you go to see clear. Things they happen, but our people refuse to understand. They refuse to indulge. You can imagine what is happening. The same Igbo people that lead them from the beginning of this Cup of Nations until on the semi-final that we are eliminated by Morocco through penalty shootout. Now it is now, that Biafran guy. Look at it, just look at it. Am I happy about what is happening? Very, very happy, because none of them even supporting Biafra. Not now or not ever. Because they are living where they are in Europe. They have their passport. They can travel and do whatever they want, have any kind of money they want, live the kind of lavish life they want to live. Nigeria will happen to them. In fact, it has started happening to them. If there's anything they promise them now, maybe like, okay, take place now, okay, we are going to promise something. They just make it on newspaper. None of them is going to receive that thing. Before they will even think of releasing it, the people who play this game must have even died And their children will be the one now they will tell you to come and collect something for your father. You get the point now. I don't say, yeah, it sounds funny, but it's not funny. Anyway, let me not talk much because the video is already long. I will not. There's no time to read the comments. So please, if you get this message, circulate it. Something they happen. In fact, I want you to begin to stay happy. That's Open now. We'll go Polena because we are going home. And as you do that, may God Almighty protect you, guide you, and preserve you in all your ways. Please help me to circulate this message. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on all our social media handles. It shall be well with you. Happy Saturday and happy weekend. Chineke mezie